Dude, I'm always fascinated by like that idea of moving to another country to pursue work.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm limited on a bunch of things that I know. I don't know much about Wales.
Okay.
I've spent a lot of time in Scotland, which means
Similar.
jack shit.
It's quite
Is it?
similar. I think so.
Okay.
It's a Celtic nation, so as long as it's not England, I suppose we're good.
So would my experience in Scotland make me more comfortable in Wales than, say, England?
Probably, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say the people are probably a little bit similar.
Okay.
Whereas like English people, I feel like are a little bit different.
Something about the English, eh?
Yeah, I'm trying to watch what I say without coming across like. But no, if you've been to Scotland, you definitely would have been to Wales, or you'd feel like you're in Scotland, I think.
Well, look, mythology-wise, hey, let's pull that curtain real quick.
Towards me.
Well, yeah, just pull it up around the camera. Perfect. Otherwise, I'll stare at it and hate myself. So, like mythology with England, I always think about like this James Bond and this like dapper gentleman and like this well-sophisticated and well-spoke. Scotland and Wales don't have that character.
No,
we don't either. As
No.
Americans, right? We have fucking Billy the Kid. And so Scotland has William Wallace.
Yeah.
What is the Wales like archetype hero?
We use our last Prince of Wales, Owain Glyndŵr, as our like,
That's his name.
yeah.
Okay.
Owain Glyndŵr.
Got it.
So he's the last Prince of Wales.
It
And
sounds like sounds and not a name.
I could, yeah.
Like, I don't know how you'd write it. It feels like something you'd have to draw.
That's pretty much my whole day with Maddie. She's like, say this. Or like if we go places, she goes, say that like really long place. So that's pretty much all I do.
You just read signs to her. It's
Reel-
perfect.
yeah, reel
low
off.
bar of success, man. This is a
I
great,
know.
great.
It's a great relationship. Just checking boxes on saying where I'm from and different towns from
This is
Wales.
amazing. So did you grow up? So you have Welsh and you speak English. Do you speak anything else?
No.
No. So, but you don't. Is Welsh full Gaelic?
Welsh, it's its own language.
Its own language,
Yeah,
Welsh,
Welsh.
okay.
Yeah. So it was everyone's first language, but that's our thing with England. It was taken out of our language. Excuse me. So it's not as prominent as it was before. And you have to go to like a Welsh speaking school really to be first language Welsh. Predominantly, most of us are like second
language Welsh.
Yeah. So it's,
Okay.
everyone speaks English, but then second language English.
Interesting.
Sorry, the second language Welsh.
Welsh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that's kind of interesting, right? The like not speaking your own language. That's something I wouldn't have thought of much growing up, but now that I'm older, like with identity of a country and then
Yeah. Especially moving here, that was when it really dawned on me how crazy our history is and how much we've accepted as the norm because our language is taken away from us. Like we're part of the UK, so we go by
by the UK's
UK rules.
Yeah.
Which is based in London. As long as London's happy, pretty much. That's it.
The Queen, man.
And we get the pennies at the end. So
All right, so growing up with a monarchy, so this is something else I like. How do you feel about that?
I don't know.
Like, how do you feel about the Queen? Like, I mean, like, is it a figurehead? Is it, not like your own personal, like, she's a bitch?
I don't know. I would say like 90% of people would say they don't know what they do.
Sure.
So I honestly don't really know what to say.
But she does seem like well respected.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't seem like there's half the people taking the piss out of her like we do Donald Trump.
No, absolutely not.
Like
no, she's
the
definitely
Queen's pretty
held
middle of the road.
Yeah, she's held in high esteem, but I think large portion of the UK don't really know what they do, so they don't. But again, typical British people.
They were
kind
born.
Kind of like, oh, let's not question this.
No, that's a very, very English thing. This is the way things are in tradition. Yeah. We will not fucking differ.
Let's not question it. Just stick to the rules.
Right. No, it's the monarchy thing's really strange. Like, Bonnie and I have been watching, or she's watching The Queen, and I will occasionally end up in there and comment and talk shit. But yeah, the idea that like you were just born into this fucking thing, and then you've managed this scam since like the year 700 to convince people that because you're someone's son that like you get to run the country.
It's nuts. It's nuts.
It's a terrible system of government.
It's crazy. But we had our own. And
okay, so you had your own king.
Yeah.
Or prince.
Yeah.
Well,
we had kings, and so like people like, here we go, Llywelyn ap Griffith. King of Wales.
Okay.
But then obviously I'm not a historian, but
Sure.
England had bigger armies than us. We were just rock throwing.
That's how it goes. Then you get rid of their language.
We were rock throwing mountain dwellers.
Yeah.
And then they came with their swords and their shields, and
those win.
Yeah, they win, see.
Yeah.
And they
it's
build
like guns.
They build castles, and we didn't know what to do.
Fuck.
So they just said, you can keep your land, but we're taking that fucking language of yours.
Oh man, that's so weird,
all
right?
that noise.
Like that breed out a
It's
language.
you know, I don't know what year
we
it was.
did the same thing to the Native Americans here.
Yeah.
Like, oh, man, it's a weird power control thing. And I mean, any type of invading force, like that's one of the moves.
Yeah.
Is you don't let people speak their fucking language.
No. They have to become one of us now. It still happens to this day.
Oh, of course. It is a perfect way of control. Like it's something you do to people. Like if that's your goal, that is in the rule, like that's in the description or the list of how do you like take over another country. If they speak a different fucking language, you make them speak yours.
But up until, I don't know the years, but up until like fairly recent, if you spoke Welsh in school, they called it the Welsh knot, and it was literally like a piece of rope with a big slab of wood that had Welsh knot written on it. So if one of the kids spoke in Welsh in school, they had the Welsh knot put around their neck, caned, and then
so wait. What the Welsh knot accomplish? It's just a necklace?
This was for drowning out the use of Welsh in school.
No, right. But like the Welsh knot is a physical thing.
Yeah. So if you spoke Welsh, you'd put it on. You get caned and you have to wear it for the day until you saw me speaking Welsh, and you would
tell on
me.
This didn't exist like when you were a kid.
Not me, but
okay.
I honestly don't know.
Like how far back are we talking?
I don't know.
Like your parents?
No, maybe like my grandparents.
Okay.
Because my grandparents speak Welsh, but my parents know how to speak it, but they don't speak it regularly.
So, okay.
Which is crazy.
Like that whole switch kind of happened. Well, I remember, that was kind of the Queen. We just saw an episode where Charles goes down and like gives a big speech to the Welsh people.
Oh, yeah, and we don't like him. Because he's the Prince of Wales, but he's not even Welsh.
Hey, get the fuck out of here.
Take your ears and get out of here.
Take your ears and get out of here. Oh, man. How dare you besmirch the royal family from your ivory tower here in America.
I hate that fact, though. It's like, we rule this land, and right, the boy is gonna rule that patch of land over there.
It's a practice place.
Yeah, they've gone, over that.
That's fine. You can have that.
You can have this. Pocket money. Like, what? This is a fucking whole kingdom. What's going on?
All right, so I got an idea of the climate and everything we're dealing with, and then like sports-wise, I mean, brothers, sisters, family. Do you have a big group?
Family?
Yeah.
So I have 2 older brothers and a younger sister.
Okay, shit. So 4 of you.
Yeah. So obviously my eldest brother.
Yeah.
And then my sister actually plays rugby for Wales right now.
Oh no shit.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, she's very good.
And so you played a lot of rugby growing up. So that was kind of your fucking sport of choice, right?
Yeah. I think if you're born in Wales, there's a high percentage that you play rugby.
It's like playing football here in America.
Yeah.
It's like if you're a dude in high school, chances are
you're going to
football's you're going to try.
Yeah. But I think you're like limited options back home. So it's either rugby or football, soccer. But 9 times out of 10, the guys playing soccer are probably the ones that didn't really.
Yeah, they're the soccer players compared to rugby players. We look different.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
they started as rugby players as kids, and they were like, "This isn't really for
thinner.
me." Yeah, they're like,
we're more of a runner.
Yeah. I don't really like the contact
avoid
aspect.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes more sense.
So rugby's massive. So if you played rugby like a decent level, obviously like not that you're like a hero or anything, but if you play for Wales, they're held as like superstars. So it's really cool to see my sister, playing for Wales. She plays with Wales women. She plays professionally in England because more opportunity really in England for club rugby, but she plays for Wales, which is awesome.
So, like, how was your career as far as rugby? How far up the ladder did you get? How much did you play?
I played in, well, I started when I was like 7.
Sure.
So it was pretty crazy, just full on tackling when you're a kid. But played all the way through up until I think I was 26 when I, in quotations, retired. I still feel like there's probably something in there.
Nah.
No.
It's fine. Just retire. It happens.
Yeah. Played in the Welsh Premiership. So back in Wales, there's the regional rugby, which is like the highest level. And then the one below that, then it's like a pro/semi-pro league, which is the Welsh Premiership. So that's where I was in there for about 5-6 seasons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And to be honest, it's a very, very good league. Because there's only 4 professional teams in Wales, so a lot of people get funneled into those 4 teams. So places are really hard to come by. And a lot of good players maybe don't quite make it into that regional league. They play in the Welsh Premiership, so the standard is very good. And I loved my time playing there. Really? It was great. It was such a good time.
Man, I've done individual sports now for so long. Like, I haven't played any type of like a team sport since high school. But like, for sure, that's what I like. Like, the parts that I didn't like about team sports are the same things that I also did like when it was good. Like, whenever the camaraderie and teamship and like it is this working unit doing a thing, it's fucking good.
Yeah.
But whenever there's some dipshit on your team who's not carrying weight, which you deal with less and less the further up the ladder you get to compete in a thing, right? Because by the time you get to that level, like, everyone has to have their shit together.
Yeah, exactly.
And having the people in high school who don't, it's not like I fucking
it gets
did,
frustrating,
right? It's not like there was a bunch of big colleges trying to have me come fucking play football for them. There weren't. I had a bunch of small places, and then was better at track and field. But so doing that, then you transitioned pretty quickly into coaching.
Yes and no. I always had the idea of coming to America, obviously because my brother lives out here.
Right. So how long before did he I guess immigrate over? Yeah.
He first started coming over when he was like 19, 20. Bodybuilding is bigger over here than it was in the UK. Way more opportunity, and obviously bigger companies over here that were like really interested in him to come over. So he did the whole thing of.
But he became. Did he become U.S. citizen?
Now, okay. Yeah. But at the time, he was just coming back and forth. Like, he'd come over, train, meet people, network.
Right.
Go back home, and it was like the long process of like coming out. And in fairness, like at the time, like my parents, like it wasn't like what it is now. Social media,
yeah, of course,
Zoom and FaceTime and things like that.
No, you were gone.
Yeah, you were literally just gone, and it sounds
you're
crazy.
Calling from like fucking hotel rooms.
Yeah, and it wasn't even that long ago.
Here's the hotel room phone number.
Yeah, and it wasn't that long ago, which is crazy.
Calling cards and fucking yeah.
So you would go out, and 1920, my parents, were obviously very nervous because he'd go and just stay with bodybuilders or people that were well known in the business, but for us, we were like, we don't know these people because the only time we've seen them is like reading a Flex magazine or something like that.
Man, that is such a strange thing with the difference in technology.
Yeah, it's nuts, and it wasn't that long ago.
No, it's not that fucking long ago. Because me and Flex are about the same age.
Yeah,
right. Like 38ish.
Yeah.
And so that's fucking crazy. So then. I mean, do you immediately know, like, you want to get the fuck out of Wales?
No, I loved it.
I love it.
I every time I go home, I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, could you totally move back and retire and be in Wales?
Or
not retire,
I don't know. I if there was a job there that I was really like interested in.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about yesterday, like if I felt fulfilled and happy and I was around the right people, I would love to.
Right.
Because like we said yesterday, I feel like me and Maddie could probably
live you manage anywhere.
Yeah,
no doubt about it, right? Like, and that's one of the raddest things about working in the online space like we do. Like, Bonnie and I have that freedom, and man, it's such a nice weight off our shoulders to be able to say, like, we live here because this is where we want to currently be.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only reason. We're not trapped anywhere. There's not an anchor. Like, we can fucking go.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, now that you're starting to move some more stuff into like the online space too, like you're kind of building more of that for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like you said about where I could definitely live back there. I do miss certain things, like the culture and history and things like that, and obviously like the rugby environment, and well, it's just like the things, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's home. Right. But then, and then you think about it then, you're like, well, this is nice, but there is reasons why I left.
Yeah, of course.
And the reason wasn't to do the same thing that I was doing 20 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 5 years ago.
Well, it's opportunity.
Yeah. And
that's one of those things with any of the, I guess, foreigners, I guess, for whatever it is.
Come on, don't throw that at me.
What would you call it?
I don't know.
Immigrants? My friends from other countries? There, how about that? My friends from other countries, like the one thing that they talk about, like with that move to America, is that there is just so much more opportunity here just because it's so big. Like even, do you know Jessie Jess?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even talking with her, and she said, like, you know, down in Australia and doing the fight thing, like I'm working my fucking ass off to get an opportunity. But like the gym that I grapple at, the gym that I do striking at, the gym that I do Muay Thai at, and the gym that I do this other thing are all fucking 90 minutes from each other.
Yeah.
Because they're the only 4 in fucking Australia that I have an option of going to. Meanwhile, I can move to the States and I have all of these things at a higher level at one gym in my area.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I can work there.
Yeah. She's got a crazy story too.
She's fucking so great.
Because I don't know the exact story, but
I'm going to have her out here relatively soon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Once kind of things are a little bit more set up.
I won't spoil the story then.
Man,
she has a good story though.
Oh yeah.
Of how she like just was working hard on individual stuff and just got picked up.
Get out, man.
Fucking, I love that,
dude. And yeah, I think it's such an interesting thing. I think that would shape your life. That like leaving your country and moving to another country for a period of time. Like I have a lot of interest at some point living abroad, you know, for a stretch. I don't know how permanently. Yeah, I'd love to spend 6 or 8 months in Iceland at a stretch or something like that. But it's not the same as leaving.
Yeah, man. There's something very scary, but then...
Yeah, that one-way flight.
Yeah, the one-way flight
was... one-way flight to another country. Like, Steffi had it. Steffi had the same deal, right? Like, she fucking flew to Venezuela, from Venezuela to here at 14.
Yeah, that's crazy. You just have to do stuff like that, though. Do you know what I mean? Like...
So when did you get here?
I've been here for 4 years now. Okay,
so you're already coaching rugby in Wales.
Yeah, I was still playing.
Okay, so Wales. Playing and coaching.
Yeah, so I was playing and coaching at the time, and I was playing in a really very good team. I was really enjoying playing, and I was fortunate enough to be the captain of our team.
Right on.
And for the last 3 years, we built up a very good team. Really enjoyed it. We were doing really well every single year, and you could feel like we're progressing on something. Just we're gonna win something big. And for me, I always thought of Welsh Cup, which is like one of the oldest. Well, is the oldest cup in Wales.
That's the one to win. That's the fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah,
all right.
Because you can win the league, but the leagues change all the time. So like you could have won the league 5 years ago. It's like something totally different, and now you've won it something else. But the cup is the cup.
Right. So that's the best team that year is definitely winning the cup.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. So we had a very good run. We went to some really tough places, and we won it the tough way. Like top 3 teams in the league, we beat them.
Just grounded out.
Yeah. It was rough.
It's not one of those just fucking trounce everyone.
No, just rock up and just...
You ever been on a team that did that just fucked everyone up you played with?
Yeah, when I was younger, we used to play. Man.
I had like 1 or 2 teams in my history of sports. Like I had a soccer team growing up that, like, I wasn't attributing to any of this victory.
What position did you play?
Goalie, man.
Fuck, I was going to say goalie.
Yeah, of course I'm goalie. I'm not running anywhere. Put the chunky kid in the fucking goal. That's exactly the move.
Fill the goal up.
Just be back there, bud. We have good people on the team. We'll keep the ball away from you. Yeah. Right? Like that's very, very much the plan. And then I played on 2 football teams that, like, in high school that we were fucking untouchable. Like my very freshman year of high school, we went undefeated and like just destroyed people.
Yeah. But
it didn't hold.
Yeah. Do you think that you learned, like the guys learned a lot from that though?
And it's fucking really cool.
It's a weird line to draw.
It is. Look, you don't learn nearly as much as like grinding it out and having to figure things out and learn.
No.
But there is something that's really rad that you get like as an athlete success wise, like this kind of like, this feeling of confidence.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, dude, when we would show up at games, like the feeling coming off the bus was just like, fuck these people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, you know it too, that there's nothing they can do to stop. Like that fucking extra big dick energy that comes from like knowing that you're the baddest motherfuckers in the room. Like it's good to have. And, I think it's good to touch that light at some point and know it exists, but then also like need to get your fucking teeth kicked in too, to realize that like, we're going to find the middle here.
Yeah. You need a couple of losses just to kind of peak again.
Fuck. Yeah, so I remember you guys just ground it out and got your fucking got the cup.
Yeah, so we won the cup, and for me, I always, the back of my mind, I was always thinking about the move to America. I don't know, I was kind of in like a certain time in my life where I could have gone all in and, you know, settled down back home. But I was thinking like, this is like the time where I should be thinking like, fuck, this is a big time where I need to make a big risk, like take a big risk here and just go all in. And if I fuck up, the worst thing that can happen,
you move home.
It doesn't fucking work out and I go back home and be successful at whatever I'm going to do back home.
I think that right there is such an important lesson that like people don't get when it comes to that, like taking that step to take that risk of like changing your fucking life, right? That left or right turn moment.
Yeah.
And like Bonnie and I have talked about it. And it's like whenever she decided to not work for limited brands anymore and do her own thing, or whenever I got fired in 2017 and then decided not to find another job. Man, there's a lot of those left and right turns that I think looking back on throughout your life would be really tough to sit there and be at home and be like, man, I wish I would have tried to go to America.
Yeah. And that was the thing that was killing me, because I was
you can't fucking live with that.
If I don't go now,
you're stuck.
And I'm sitting there like 50 years old thinking, fucking hell, can you imagine I would have done that? That would have been rough.
Yeah, dude. For me, like when it's always those situations, like I have to know. Yeah. I'm not interested in the what this could have been. Like I got to know personally. And like if it fails and falls apart, like that's fucking fine. But at least I got it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because I kind of believe in the multiverse.
Yeah. I feel yeah.
So I like the idea that all the multiple timelines and different options of what could happen in your life essentially are happening somewhere.
Yeah.
And if that's true, then that means there is a version of me that did this thing. So there's a version of you that went to America and did the life and had all the success, right? But there's also the guy who stays in Wales and is successful there. There's also the guy who's not successful.
Yeah.
So if the one that's successful and happy and goes to America exists, like just make that you. Like it's already out there. So like you just be that guy.
Yeah.
Right. I kind of look at that like that way, like, yo, it's not a risk to try it, because the fallback of failure is just doing what the plan was without going to America. Like,
exactly.
It's always there.
Yeah.
So you get over. So you're fucking, so you've decided now to not continue playing, or no injuries or anything, right? Like,
yeah, that I probably have a lot of injuries that I've kind of just accepted.
Sure. But like you didn't have like a thing that happened that like, yo, I can't play rugby anymore.
No. So for me, it was winning the cup. I give myself some time after we won it, because for me, I thought this is amazing, obviously. And your mind's like, fuck it, we're going to do it next year again.
Yeah, whatever. Of course, right?
I mean, everyone's like going crazy in the changing room, and it's like we're playing in the National Stadium. It's like fucking like the biggest thing for most of us. And then you have to like go home after that, and like it's like an almost strange anticlimax of,
because no one cares.
Yeah, it's because that was the biggest thing.
It's only important to you,
just for us.
Yeah. It's a very, very strange thing.
It's
right?
weird.
That you get that big high, but then you like immediately, because there isn't any of the money it's not the fucking NFL, right?
Yeah, of course.
You can't just fuck off back to your millions of dollars and like hang out with your feet up and be stoked.
No.
And so like you have that big moment on this big national stage in front of all these people, and then realize no one gives a shit. Except you.
It's true. You put all that effort in, and it matters to you, and that's, to be honest, all really matters.
And I guess really what I mean is like everyone, like I think people have that fallacy, right, of putting this like, yo, if we can win the cup, everything's different.
Yeah.
Nothing's different.
Our life is going to change.
Nothing changes.
Something. Yeah.
It's just a day.
Yeah,
it's a fucking really cool day.
Well, for us, it was we won the cup, and then literally 4 days later, we had to play a semi-final of the league. So it was kind of like, this is fucking awesome. Oh god, actually, we got another game.
We have another game. Shit.
And we were all probably a little bit too hungover for that one.
4 days later.
It was a game too far.
It was a game too far. I appreciate it.
It was a game too far for us. But
did you succeed in that?
No, we lost that one.
You win the cup and then go get beat in the league game.
I know. Man.
I love it. We blew our load early, friends. We are done.
I would take that scenario over the other one, to be honest.
Lose the cup and then win the league game? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I would way rather have like won the world championships and then the next weekend there'd be some bullshit contest somewhere.
Yeah.
And me take third.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm fucking tired.
Yeah, you're like, fine, I don't care.
I was supposed to win then.
Yeah.
Like, I'm exhausted.
I don't care, no.
Right. It's not how this works. I don't have anything to fucking prove to you people. So like, I mean, at what point during that season do you know you're leaving?
I was thinking about it maybe the back end of the season, but I didn't really have something that was like telling me this is the time you need to do something. And again, like you just said, we won the cup, and then it was that moment of like, it was such a high, and it was like, this is something I've always wanted to do since I was a kid, and we did it. And there was almost that strange like anticlimax of, okay, like what the fuck happens now?
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
It was like, figure it out now. So in my head, it was like, personally felt like for my rugby career, it wasn't going to get any better than that. So I was like, no, you know, I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna look at different options. I'm gonna take a risk. So my brother and his wife lived in Florida at the time.
In Boca.
Yeah. And there's Florida Atlantic University there. So I would go over there. So I basically finished playing and had like a year out where I lived in Wales, but didn't play rugby. But I would just come back and forth to America.
To the States.
Yeah, just to like figure things out. Try and like meet people in
well,
university.
I mean, you got to find a fucking job.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get a job. It's not like you're not flying over for job interviews. You're just trying to go meet people now.
Yeah. So my plan was to go to university, study a master's degree. So I was going over to the university and meeting the professors and meeting like students there, people that maybe I would be classmates with or whatever.
Right.
So that was pretty much the whole year before that. And then I decided, this is going to be it for me. I spoke to my brother and he's like, yeah, you could stay with us. Just come over, try and get into the university. And if you can figure out all that side of it, like getting in and all that, like visas and everything, like we'll support you. So, I mean,
it's a huge load off.
Yeah. From that,
to like know that you got a place to land.
Yeah. From that aspect, like obviously I worked really hard to obviously get into the university for one. I got a GA position, so I was working for the university then.
Right. So that helps with classes, tuition.
Yeah, exactly. Things. But honestly, like I would never have been able to do it without my brother and his wife.
Oh, of course.
Because like I hate when people just say like, oh yeah, I fucking came over from wherever. I did it all on my own. But honestly,
man, that's one of those things, right? And like I feel the same way, right? That I'll very happily tell anyone that, look, I haven't overcome a ton of things. Like my parents are fucking great. I didn't have school debt because I was on a scholarship. I didn't, I've had a lot of really great opportunities that have helped me get to where I am. But, a lot of the reasons those doors were open for you, whether from your brother or not, like, he's also aware that he didn't open the door to a shitty family member who was going to come over and just mooch off of him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like, it's easy to say that like, I had a lot of help, but also you were deserving of help.
I'd like to think so, yeah.
Yeah, of course. But I think that's something people fuck up and think that like it's handed to you when in fact, like, no, you still fucking earned opening that door too. No one owes you that fucking opportunity to come try to make your fucking life rad.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, like when I got there, obviously I wanted to put as much emphasis into my studying as obviously I was doing a master's degree and it was very taxing,
And
especially
your degree is in
strength and conditioning,
okay.
Exercise physiology, strength and conditioning. So I was doing that, obviously full-time student, but then I was teaching at the school, coaching at the school. But to me then, I was like, I don't want to just go back to the house where I was staying with my brother and his wife and just like be the guy that just fucking sat on the sofa and watched TV. So obviously I wanted to just be like showing that I was worth.
Yeah.
Even though he's my brother, like I'm like, listen, I fucking really appreciate this. I'm not going to just sit around and fucking mooch. I want to show that I'm worth this. So as many hours of the day as I could be doing something for them, I was hopefully doing that. So I'd help out with like their online store, do their social media and things like that. So it was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, luckily enough that, they had enough going on that there's a bit of a built-in infrastructure for at least some type of help or a job or at least earn your keep.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not just hanging out waiting for an allowance, right? Like, hey man, can I borrow some bucks? I need to run to the store because I'm a student and don't have any fucking money.
Yeah, that was the hard part because, I saved up a lot of money to come out.
Fuck, I bet you have to.
And like the move and like the initial kind of payments of everything fucking quickly adds up.
God, I bet. And not only that, like at that age, you're not making any fucking money.
No.
It takes you forever to save any.
Yeah, well, for me as well, because like when I came over, a student visa, you're allowed to work legally and get paid for it in the university. Outside of that, everything I was doing was like voluntary. So it's tough because like the university's not exactly fucking paying me big bucks.
No,
like,
but then they also give a shit about how much you get paid outside of them.
Yeah, and then like you better not be fucking getting paid outside. We're watching you. So like you have to be.
That's why I worked at a strip club.
Cash money.
Cash money. Yeah, man.
so yeah, it was tough because like I would start fairly early in the morning in FAU. We'd run like the exercise science lab. So I'd run the lab there. Then I'd go over to the strength and conditioning department and I'd help coach the Olympic teams there. So that was really cool. With Chris McCormack as the head of strength and conditioning, that is a great coach. And I learned a lot from him because not just like from the coaching aspect, his background's in psychology.
Yeah.
So like the way he spoke to people, I just thought it was amazing.
Dude.
Because he would differentiate the way he spoke to the different teams. And for me, that was like, I felt like I was pretty decent at that anyway. But standing back and watching somebody that was like an expert in that was fucking cool. Because he would have like the basketball guys come in and they'd come in and he'd joke around, use the same terminology that they use, same lingo.
Uh-huh.
As soon as they leave, softball come in. So it's a
different coach.
Women's sport, the way that the information's delivered is way different. More questioning, I felt, making them feel like they were part of everything, and it was awesome. And like there was a full like almost like a conversation outside the gym first, and then in, and it was just like how you get the best out of each group, not just be like one rigid coach and be like, if you don't like this, fuck you.
You're a manager,
yeah,
right? Like that's your fucking job.
I feel like that's like the main part of coaching because it's fairly easy to know like the facts of what you want to train or want to coach, but how can you deliver it is the main part because it's like those diagrams. If I'm looking at a 6 here, you're looking at a 9. Like
well, if we don't agree at some point that this is a coffee cup,
yeah,
it's tough to go. Like if you keep calling this a mug and I keep calling it a cup, but we don't, it's fine.
Sorry, man.
But we don't ever address that we need to agree on the same language. It's tough for us to fucking communicate.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And so like having coaches that realize that, or just managers or coaches or business people, or if you're a business owner, like your job is a captain of a ship.
Yeah.
And as long as you can get the ship to go the direction you want it to go,
yeah,
you don't have to fucking lead with a whip all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Not saying the whip isn't needed.
The whip.
But if you can get people to go where you want to go by being polite, or there's other people that you motivate really well by I don't care about being right anymore.
Okay.
I care about the whole system going the direction that I have intention of the system going.
Yeah.
Like if I'm planning on this whole thing going this direction, like we're on a trip or life or motivation or my business or any of these things, if I'm going to meet someone who's going to come in and have a bunch of ideas, I'm totally willing to listen to all of those ideas as long as it's still going the direction I want.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not falling into, I don't have to force the direction. Like I don't have to say it has to be this way. This is how we get from A to B.
Yeah. Yeah.
But being able to say, we're just trying to get over there.
Yeah. And
it's
like guided discovery,
right?
almost.
And like, so of course you have to manage different people differently.
Yeah.
If you just have that one style, like it only works for the athletes that want to be yelled at.
Yeah. And I think
because they exist too.
Yeah.
That need that, like, fuck, let's go, get fucking fired up. Like there's coaches, there's athletes that need that. And I've seen it more with like football teams, especially like in the NCAA level.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not fucking handling your women's swim team that way.
No.
Because it's a different vibe. Or tennis.
Because majority of the time, it's not really that important to them. So, and they're going into a weight room where they're like, I'm not really a big fan of this.
No, I hate
And then
this.
some guy who's
just going to yell
just
at them.
fucking screaming. Like,
oh man, instead you fucked it up. Like they could love the weight room now.
you could have like really built something that they enjoyed.
That's your trick as a coach. The
That's
trick
like,
is figuring out how to get them to buy in.
Yeah, it's like a guided discovery, almost.
Yeah.
Where you show them like where you want them to go or what's cool about where you want them to go, and just let them fucking figure it out.
Coolest part is then they think it was their idea.
And then they think it's their idea, and that's the fucking best part.
You're like, yes, it was. You're right.
You just step back and
you
just
invented that.
let them all talk amongst each other and build up that motivation themselves, and you just like stand back and be like, fucking, this is what it's about.
But that's real coaching.
Yeah,
That's
I feel like so.
fuck
Anyway.
yeah. I totally agree with you, right? And like the fact that you're saying those things, that like that's the big stuff you took away from this coach.
Yeah.
Like that to me speaks volumes about the type of coach that you aspire to be.
Yeah.
And so like that's super, super fucking cool.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
So you're working with that guy down there.
Yeah. So it was.
Wait. Back in Wales, like playing rugby at this level, are you getting paid to play?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fucking A.
Yeah. So we got paid pretty good, and then obviously it wasn't full time, so we had time to.
So what are we talking about? What are you getting paid to play rugby here?
Come on,
you
want me to go into it?
Yeah, fuck yeah. I'll talk to you about Highland game stuff. I'm just curious of like the equivalent.
Well, say if we had like a full time job and.
Well, what is just rugby playing?
Oh, just rugby, pro rugby.
Yeah. So what are you getting paid to play for Wales when you're?
Oh, for Wales, these guys. Some of these guys. It depends if they have a tournament, I believe, and so there's a Six Nations tournament going on right now. Mm-hmm. So they play 5 games, and some of them will get like 15 to 20K a game.
Okay.
And then they have their other contracts on top of that. So some of the guys.
Yeah, so they've got other contracts with like different.
Yeah, so
like sponsors.
Yes, yeah, but then you'll play for a club, so a team.
That's right. There's the big club system thing. Yeah, right. But
so,
do you also have to like pay into the club as well?
No. So it's you play for a professional team. So, for argument's sake, like playing for an NFL team. Mm-hmm. So you'd have your salary for that, and then you get selected to play for Wales, which is a select team. So what is that, like all-stars game or something like that?
So you get a little bit of a bump.
So you get paid for that then each game. So some of these guys probably on like 500.
So what are you making playing for Wales before you leave, like with your cup team?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
So I was playing and working, so I don't know, nothing crazy, like probably like 50, 60K.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. But like we only did, we would play like each week and then train 2-3 times a week. So it's like part-time almost.
50, 60K in like Welsh
pounds. And then
Welsh rocks, whatever.
in Welsh stones.
Welsh stones.
In Welsh stones. And then obviously working as well. So coaching as well. Yeah. So it was pretty good. But then
so you're player, coach, captain.
I wasn't coaching the team. I was coaching. I was working for the Welsh Rugby Union. So
got it.
I was head of like player development in the area.
Man, I have a fucking buddy in Scotland, Sinclair Patience, that does something with rugby in Scotland where he travels and coaches a lot.
Oh, okay.
I don't fucking know exactly what his job is because I have a terrible memory and I'm probably a worse friend.
Yeah,
but but I know that that's what he's done forever. Is he coaches rugby and travels a lot.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Good fucking lad. Sorry. Back to your stuff. Where were we?
But yeah, it's I can't remember what we were saying now.
Doesn't matter. We'll find a new spot.
We were somewhere.
So now I was just curious of like like for Highland Games for me, like the years that I'm a pro Highland Game guy, like the year like I win Worlds, I probably make 30 grand competing that year with 5,000 of it being at Worlds.
Right. Okay.
For winning Worlds. Now, the pay drops down considerably from first place to 10th place, give or take. But like if you were 10th place in the world and kind of a top 10 dude, like you're for sure getting to compete in the Highland Games for free. Like they'll pay for your travel. They're covering all your expenses.
Yeah.
So, not a ton of money in the sport.
Yeah, especially like the work that goes into it and everything.
It's not as much as people think.
No.
Well, look,
I've seen you throwing those fucking salmons.
For sure, right? Like
that's fucking
God damn it, dude. The people comment. I had some guy.
That was one of the funniest things.
It was just like how big fucking man throwing a fucking rubber, like throwing a dead fish, real badass. And I'm like, said in the second sentence up there that it's rubber. Sorry you're so angry. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Like, fuck me, man.
What does he want to fight?
No, right. Like, what are you so mad about, dude?
Just relax.
Like, just fucking. Can you imagine seeing that and being like, I'm going to give this stranger a what for? Let him fucking know.
Yeah.
What a
I'm gonna let him know that
big man he is throwing this fish. Everyone will know that I would never.
I throw real salmon.
That's right. I would never hurt a fish. Fuck, man. People are very strange. But yeah, so like you get over and now kind of sorting things out. So you've gone from playing and getting paid now to like back to being a full-time student officially and like no money.
Yeah. And obviously, like I said, it wasn't crazy money, but I saved up a lot of money because I knew I wanted to do it.
Well, you saved enough.
Yeah, I saved up a decent amount of money
enough to go
to come out, and it seemed like it like disappeared in a semester. It was gone.
Dude, you punch a couple holes in the boat with no fucking with no way to bail things out. Like, yeah, money disappears fucking fast.
I had no fucking bucket in the with my hands trying to fucking splash it out.
No good at all. It just burns. It just watch your bank account fucking set on fire. I can't imagine moving to another country and like watching my poor bank account. That was a scary part. And to be honest, I told Maddie a story a couple of days ago where I don't know. It was a bit. I'll go for it. It was a bit embarrassing, but it was. I wanted to be, honest, and I had obviously like spent a lot of money on the tuition and everything. And it was when I was getting the GA position, so I was waiting for essentially have confirmation of getting a quotations job again, because I personally couldn't work anywhere outside of the university, and I didn't want to do anything illegal, so I wanted to like follow the book. So the best thing you can do is kind of like earn free room and board working for your brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then...
But oddly, that doesn't buy groceries well.
No. It was very tough.
There's only so many fucking meal prepped food that you can eat out of the fridge anymore. Protein shakes.
It was so
like, you don't need food. Look, we have all this free protein you can drink.
Yeah. And that's the thing, see, like when you're in the position of in the comfort zone back in Wales, and you're like, oh, steady income coming in.
Yeah.
I got opportunity doing this. I know I can make a little bit more money here, and then let it build. And then a year on, I'm sitting there and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, what was I, 26, 27, and thinking like, I fucking feel this is like demoralizing now, because essentially I gave it all up through like away rugby, family, friends, and was like, I'm just going to fucking dive in and see what happens. And then you hit these points and you're like, fuck, I don't know if this was the right choice, because like there's this like, weird story where I think my brother was having like and he probably doesn't even know that. I was too embarrassed to tell him at the time. He had like a Thanksgiving party, and this was like 2 or 3 years ago. And he had a lot of people over, like pretty like big names in fitness industry. And he had this really nice big pool table. And he's like, oh, come on, let's all put $5 in and we'll play a tournament. And honestly, in my head, I was like, I don't know if I can fucking afford that right now. And it was so embarrassing, because I'm like, fuck, like I need that $5. Yeah, because I was like, fuck, I went from, being an athlete, I wasn't making.
Well, at this point, you're not making any money. So like making $5 is tricky.
Yeah. So I was like, fucking hell, I don't know if I can do this. And it was just like that weird moment of like, fuck, this is like one of the fucking worst moments ever.
For a fucking $5.
Yeah. And I know it does sound stupid.
No, but dude, broke's broke.
But I was thinking in my bank account, fuck, it's getting fucking down there.
Dude, look, when I moved to St. Louis a year and a half ago, like I've got good shit going, right? Like with the brand and all these other things, but also I'm going through a fucking divorce.
Yeah.
And like I'm taking care of those responsibilities the right way. And so like that's where all my income has gone, is affording the house that I had commitments on in Louisiana and taking care of my obligations.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any fucking money. Like all the money I had coming in was going to the places that I needed it to go. And so like I just didn't have anything personal to like to have any cash.
Yeah, and it's
fucking, really fucking
it's
weird.
fucking scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's like weird because it's almost as if you're powerless, but you know you can do something about it.
Yeah, mine was only for like 3 months.
Yeah. I think once I got that GA position, I started getting the ball rolling a little bit, and it felt a little bit better about it. Obviously I had a lot of support with my brother and his wife, because I got to stay there.
Yeah, that's a tough ego check moment, though. Like, honestly, especially like you're in that environment with a group of people who shits together, playing, enjoying yourself in a lifestyle that you kind of fit in with.
Yeah.
And then you have a moment of like, no one in here realizes I'm stressed over this $5.
Yeah. And that was the weird part for me, because I went from being, full of life, and I was captain of the team and I was always around my friends. And then I felt so like weirdly lonely, because I was like looking around the room. I was like, fuck, I can connect to these people, but like they're doing well in their life right now. And they might feel like I'm there, but if they fucking had a look at the bank account, they'd probably put an arm around my shoulder and be like, it's going to be okay.
In my experience though, man, like everyone has those feelings.
Yeah.
Like, but but you get them at different levels.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's an insecurity that comes from also because you're in a room that everyone's doing better than you. You're in the right room.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
like that's absolutely the room you want to fucking be in.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the guy who is telling people to put 5 on the table, and then the other 15 dudes in that room are like, I ain't got $5. That's a room of fucking bums.
Yeah.
You're not trying to hang out in that room, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Way rather just me be the bum in the room. Like if I'm the lowest person in this room's probably okay.
Yeah.
And so like, that perspective of it helps. Man, I still have tons of moments where this imposter syndrome kicks in of like, at some point, the people in this room are going to realize I'm not supposed to be here.
This guy.
Dude, it happens to me all the time. I end up in places all the time where I'm just like, be cool, man. Because like at some point, everyone's going to realize I'm not supposed to be in this room. And then they're going to politely be like, we just realized you don't fit in. I'm like, you're right.
We just realized you're not a houseplant. Get the fuck out.
Right. I'm like, you're right. I'm going to get out of here. It's like, you threw rocks in a field. It's exactly. It's like, you fucking we looked this up and you threw rocks in a field. You didn't do any shit we did.
But it's true though, man. I've never actually told anybody else apart from Maddie that, but
that's life though, dude.
Yeah, and that's what I want to like. It's the reality, because
dude, I remember like at 26. So like I am now, dude. At 26, like the bike shop's failing. I have no money. I'm still working at the bike shop that's failing. I'm bouncing at the strip club at night, and then a few nights a week I'm working at a Ruth Chris in a kitchen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so like I'm working at a strip club at night because it pays enough cash for me to pay an employee at the bike shop and pay the bike shop's rent. Wow. Having a second job that pays for your first job is a terrible fucking plan.
Yeah, it's not a best scheme.
That means the first job's a hobby. That's what it means. If it's a thing you do that costs you money, it's a hobby. It's not a job. And so like, dude, there's big moments like that, and I think it's easy to get caught up in kind of thinking with the people you're around that you're supposed to be at a different place. But like Maddie said last night, with a lot of stuff, is like, dude, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Yeah, and that feeling of like going forward and then like retreating Like as far as, you know how you feel like I've leveled up in life, things are going well. And then like going back to now, like, fuck, I sleep in my brother's house and I don't have any money.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's a weird feeling of like, hey, I won a Welsh, like I did a thing and won a Welsh Cup and I'm someone and now I'm this guy. Right.
Yeah.
That's a fucking big blow.
It's a big mind fuck every day because you wake up and you think, oh fuck, like this is a fucking weird struggle now.
But
you have to kind of like recreate who you are because you're like, well, no, you know, I did the fucking move. I came here and I didn't sign up to be pampered and have it all fucking paved out for me.
Chance.
Yeah. And that was this was the challenge. You know, you roll the dice and you fucking go with it.
Well, and not only that, like in Wales, and if you decided to stay there, there's nothing wrong with it.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
If you wanted more, the thing is like you're smart enough to realize that where things were in Wales, that like, hey, I'm not going to be able to continue doing this long term. I can't just keep playing rugby forever. That's not how any of this works.
Absolutely.
So like I look at life as just like a really long maze, like on a sheet of paper.
Yep.
And so, you know, occasionally you're working your way through these different paths and you get to the end of this path. And whether that to me is like, I always use the example of teaching, like being a school teacher, like my mom, just because it's something I'm very familiar with. I know how you'd get that job and I know what it pays.
Yeah.
Right. So like you do this thing, you go through school, you get your degree, you get hired, you have a job, you've been working there 5 years. And then you realize like, I'm now 30 and this is the most money I'll ever make.
Yeah.
And if you're cool with all those things, right the fuck on. Cause like, I'm really glad that there's people that are called to being teachers because we need them.
Yeah.
We need talented educators.
They don't get paid enough. They don't.
No. And we'll get into that. But you either at that point have to decide, yo, I'm happy here as life and the map keeps moving.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like you may have to go backwards to get on a different track that gets you further ahead because you know this one's ended.
Yeah.
This path of like me pursuing teacher, I found the end.
That actually happened to me too, because I was doing that. I was playing, but also I was doing like teaching, coaching on the side. And the thing that was getting to me was not that this is obviously like you just said, if you are a teacher, obviously full on respect.
Yeah, we're not shitting on the teaching.
No, absolutely not. But this like sentence used to get to me all the time, and I thought there's got to be more to life than just doing this. Which was like, you go in the staff room, and the teacher would like one of the teachers would be like, "Oh, how was your day?" And they're like, "Oh, you know how it is," or whatever. Same thing. And then the response would be, "Hey, don't worry, just 2 more weeks until we get our next vacation." And I'm like, why are we like fucking wishing our life away here?
Yo, that's right.
Like,
that's super fucking scary, right?
There's 2 more weeks that you can live and do things. Why are you just wishing it away so you can have fucking 5 days to do nothing?
To me, that's one of those deals that a lot of people make, and especially now that I'm on the other side of a thing where I kind of realize that I can build my own shit. Like it's work and it's done, but like, it takes time, but like you can build your own thing.
Yeah.
And man, the idea now that I give 5 days of my life to someone and I get 2, or I give 50 weeks to a business and then I get 2 weeks to go do what I want. And then that 2 weeks, like I just do the same thing every fucking year with the same people and go get shit faced on a beach somewhere in fucking Alabama. Like, nah, dog. Like I'm not into it. Like that's just putting I just can't imagine putting my life on fucking repeat, like Groundhog's Day like that from the second I turned 30 and then all of a sudden like it's retirement age and people have those moments of like, where the fuck did it go?
Yeah.
And it's because you were on autopilot for 30 fucking years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Avoid that.
Yeah.
Avoid that autopilot button.
Yeah. No, I agree. But if it's something that you enjoy and you really love scheduling,
of course,
that's
and that's not what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're someone who's sitting there teaching and going,
and you fucking
I can't wait till next Tuesday.
Yeah, and that was the thing that would get to me.
Yeah,
because it was like, fuck, I can't just be around this like wishing our lives away. I'm like, this has got to be the time where I just go fuck it and just risk something. And if it doesn't work, I can go back to fucking wishing my fucking 2 weeks.
I can always do this again,
I'll be
right?
like, Karen, if this fucks up, save my spot, I'll be back.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, that's the other advice that I tell people like nervous about starting on their own thing. Questions will get answered, you know, and my answer is always like, if you have anything it takes to like work for yourself and create your own business and do all these things and like just hustle,
Yeah.
someone will hire you.
Yeah.
So like, if it doesn't work, you can always find a job. You're hireable because you work your ass off.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
Because if you make it by yourself, like you have it.
Yeah.
You can be hired by anyone. And so like have some fucking confidence in that.
Yeah.
Like if you think you got what it fucking takes, go.
Yeah. That's the thing as well. I think like the routine of everything kind of takes away the motivation to do something out of the routine. So there's no like fear of like, oh fuck, I might lose my job, or
no, it's gone.
It's just like
that job will never
safe,
go away.
Safe hamster wheel kind of thing. And that was like the scary thing for me.
It's really scary for me too.
Because especially I obviously being as very lucky that my brother paved that way for me.
Sure.
And he did that a long time before I did. And in fairness to him, you know, he did it on his own. You know, he did have people.
A crazy fucking story. On its own,
he did have people that helped him where he could come over and stay. But the story of him.
But again, he built that opportunity.
Yeah, because he had his own business. And he just went, fuck it, I'm just going to give this up because I can't handle this.
I love it.
And I think like watching that subconsciously, I was thinking that too, because I felt if he hadn't done that, I don't think I would ever even thought of doing something like this, to just move. So yeah, definitely he was like a huge motivator on just thinking, so fucking go for it.
That realization, right? Like that having someone in your life that does that.
Yeah.
That to me is this concept of, you got exposed to someone who proved to you nothing's impossible.
Yeah.
And as soon as that light bulb clicks, like I don't think most people get to meet someone like that, especially not in a family member or a partner or a close friend. And then you realize like, oh fuck, man, there's not any rules.
Yeah.
Like if you want it, like if you're sitting in Wales playing rugby and you're like, I wonder if I could be the biggest rugby coach in America. Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's not impossible. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's probable. But there isn't a thing that's physically...
It's not like tangible because no one's done it.
Right, but there's also not like a roadblock, right? Like, so you becoming president is impossible. Yes. Based on you're not born in, like, there is a fucking threshold that you just can't cross, right?
Maybe I'll be governor or something.
Right, you can easily be governor. But like, there's actually a thing that stops you from being able to do it. Like, I can't fly. Flying's impossible. But there isn't a thing that says you can't be the most well-known, respected rugby coach in the world. Like, there isn't a thing in the way.
No.
And so because the door's kind of open, like, fucking let's go. Let's try.
Yeah.
And if we land at being a really awesome, well-respected rugby coach
somewhere,
yeah, it's fucking great.
Yeah, exactly.
like I'll fall short. That sounds awesome.
No, it's definitely true though. Without him doing what he did, I would never have looked at things the way that I do now, because it's so easy when you grow up in a small town to feel like you're in that fishbowl and see out, like you don't see outside the fishbowl. And I get a lot of my friends actually asking like, oh, do you see now that there's like more to rugby? It's weird how you don't really interact with like the ins and outs of what's going on back home, because like before, when I was living back home, 90 to 100% of my day was revolved around rugby.
Of course it is.
Whereas now it's obviously I coach it, but it's just a portion of my life, and it doesn't run my week anymore. Whereas like before, I was like, right, we've got so and so on the weekend, prep.
Now, but you've now coached a variety of stuff, because when you got to Florida, like I know you got in with the American top team guys and we're doing fight training.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so that was crazy too. So at the time, this was actually before I got the GA position. So
okay.
I was just studying at the time, and I wanted to get more experience coaching. So where my brother lived, it was in Coconut Creek, and just literally 3 minutes drive down the street was American Top Team HQ. And a friend of mine who was ex international rugby player, Alex Cobbiciero, used to play for England, And I don't think I'd be able to tell the story of how we became friends on the podcast, but it's fucking hilarious.
I think you can let it rip.
I don't know, just for his sake.
Was he going to go to jail?
Nah, but just for his sake, I probably won't say anything.
Fair
but
That's fair.
very, very funny story.
I'll hit you for it later.
Yeah, I'll tell you after this. Very funny story of how we became friends. So yeah, we had a good friendship. He was living in Miami, and he was training. So he'd finished playing rugby, and he wanted like something else to focus on. So he was going to American Top Team to do some martial arts training,
Right.
whatever.
Just MMA stuff.
Yeah,
is
whatever.
he trying to fight or is he just trying?
At the time, he was kind of questioning whether he wanted to, but he didn't in the end. But he was going up there to train. So he was like, "Oh mate, you've got to come down here because I'm doing strength conditioning with Phil Drew.
Oh yeah.
I got to link you up." So I went there, met Phil, got on with him straight away. Of course, he's a cool guy. He's a cool guy. Got on with him great, and I just
where have you been that you met someone and it was like, this place is not a fucking fit? Like you just didn't get along with him? Was there anywhere for you like that?
I don't know.
Like,
I feel
you're
like
a personable fucking guy that can communicate with people.
Yeah, I try my best to try and connect on some sort of level.
But you also don't have an ego that has to precede you walking in the room.
No, man. Honestly, like, and I would never have that kind of ego either. I like the fact that I can do a good job and, you know, be respectful to people.
There's a difference between confidence in your ability and an ego.
Yeah.
Those aren't the same thing.
But I'm like quite happy. I feel like because of obviously being with my brother, he's who he is.
Yeah,
and if we walk into a fucking room, especially in fitness industry,
of course,
all eyes on him.
If they can find him, he's awfully short.
Yeah, he's a little bit shorter than I am as well. I got him on height.
He posted a photo the other day, and like I had to send him a text. I'm like, "How the fuck are you the tallest person in this photo? Who are these lunchbox dudes that you're standing next to?"
Man, he knows the angles.
I know he does. It's incredible.
The thing that I love,
I find another bunch of dudes who are 3 foot and fucking 5'4" to hang out with.
You know the thing I love, just this, like, go off topic a little bit, but the small details that he knows about posing.
Oh, dude, he's got it.
And he's
a
smart.
ninja.
He's so smart.
He's a fucking ninja.
And when he used to tell me, and like away from the stage and things like what he would do, it's just amazing. Like when you watch bodybuilding, you think, oh, okay, like
the strategy.
When you watch it, just like, okay, these guys are just doing the same thing, but there's so much strategy going on, and especially when there's like the pose down, where they can...
Yeah, you know, I love those details.
That's amazing.
Like but the inner workings of like on stage. So then I can like get the strategy of what's going on. Same reason of like what I love about the Tour de France. It's because like I love the strategy of it. It's not just a fucking
You're not
bike
just watching
race.
a race. There's a lot going on. But then he would say like to look obviously bigger or for the judges to be perceived as a bigger person. Just a little edge forward.
Everyone's just inching their whole way.
Literally when you watch, if you watch a bodybuilding competition again, they're just like feet are just like shuffling like that. It's so funny.
Do they end up having to back them up like a few times during the show?
Back on the mark, guys. Back on the mark. But it's like, I mean, and you think it doesn't make a difference, but like those small things make such a difference.
It's all perspective and
he
trying
is
to catch
like,
an angle.
He's like the guru of them all. The small things, and
it.
it's cool. Like obviously we're going off topic, but that is the cool thing when people come to the gym and want to pose in front of him. And he's not a coach, but he knows the sport inside out.
Sure.
And it's just like he'll watch somebody pose and he's like, oh, actually try this. Like throw your elbows up like this, try this. And like their physique like totally changes.
Crazy, right?
It's fucking nuts. It's
I'm very aware that like anytime now, especially like trying to get leaner and like trying to take a photo and flexing, I don't have any concept of how to flex.
I'm fucking useless. I thought I'm good at a posing routine. I haven't got the physique for it.
Sure.
I can flow a posing routine like Kai Green,
Brittany,
mate.
yeah.
I can Kai Green that posing routine.
I need to see this.
But
I'll get you a fucking Phantom of the Opera mask out. No problem. Let you just do Kai Green on the stage.
Mate. Oh God.
Good look. I'll find some tidy whities for you and put you up there.
I don't think
ginger Kai
you don't
Green,
want to see that, mate. No tan whatsoever.
So now you're back down with you're getting in with Phil, and Phil's doing his thing. He's kind of on the come up at that point too. Like he's so established now.
Yeah, because Phil's probably going to listen to this.
Yeah,
I'm going to
probably.
say, Phil, I started this whole camera system for you. So when we used to train the guys, I was like, oh, look, if you want me to film, I can video stuff and then we can post it together. And like, we used to do a lot of really cool videos off the phone, and just, I think for him then, it was a really cool way to see like the progression in what he's doing. And then I think he really saw like the interaction he was getting. And like I was saying yesterday, for myself, if I was starting to post a little more about the coaching stuff. And
like I said, it's different deciding that Instagram's now for business instead of I'm fucking around with my friends.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we put together like loads of videos and things like that, and he was posting a lot of stuff consistently. And to be honest, when I look back at that time, I feel like I should have followed suit a lot more. But for me, I didn't really take myself that serious to be like, oh yeah, I'm here coaching these guys. So I was just like a fly on the wall helping him out coaching. I have all the videos.
Yeah.
But I was like, that imposter syndrome again. I was like, fuck.
Of course.
I don't know if I'm the guy that I should be posting.
Yeah, but those
this.
videos are cool like now.
Yeah.
Especially to be like, yo, I've been grinding.
Yeah. And for Phil, honestly, like take my hat off to him, full respect. Like he saw where he could take that and just went.
Yeah, he's done a hell of a job.
And like his media team and the stuff that he puts out now is really, really fucking good. And obviously the work that he does is awesome.
Right. You don't get the one without the other.
No.
It can't all be smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, you can't
like,
just
if
like
it's all
fake
smoke
that.
and mirrors, like you only get it for so long.
Yeah. So yeah, I obviously was working with him for 2 years. So we had like Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
Junior DeSantos.
He's killing it.
Yeah, mate.
I was talking to Phil recently. I want to have Dustin on the show.
Mate, he's such a nice
Louisiana
guy.
boy. Like,
yeah, that would be such a
love to have him up,
such a
man.
good fit to get on. He's a great guy, mate. Honestly, I didn't know him obviously way back when Phil knew him the first time.
Sure.
So for Phil, it's really cool to see the progression of who he is. Because if you look at Dustin, like when he first fought Conor McGregor,
different fighter.
Different fighter, looks like a totally different dude.
But you should.
His priorities.
You fucking should. You got beat up.
Yeah, but it's
like you don't want to go in the same route.
But when you look at the person and the way he carries himself and like who he is and the way he looks,
he's a new
like,
man.
He's totally different, and I think like that's a huge thing for. I think like UFC and MMA should use that because it's such a amazing progression of where the sports come from. And obviously, I'm not like a professional or an expert in MMA. But if you take like where the athletes were and what they used to look like and how they used to like conduct themselves and where they're at now, and they're like full on athletes that really take care of themselves.
For a long time, right? You had guys that were specialists in other modalities of mixed martial arts, whether they were a karate guy or taekwondo guy or a BJJ guy or whatever it is. And then, the shift that occurred during this window that you're talking about is we now have guys that have only trained MMA their whole life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like you learn to fight different if that's the game plan. And Poirier is one of those guys that now we've got to see a progression of someone who only was into MMA forever.
Yeah, man, he's an awesome guy too. And it's cool to see like
so stoked for him, dude. What a fucking moment.
Have you seen that picture he posted of him and his wife? That's like, that's so cool. So it's like I don't know what the caption was, but it's like my day one, and it's him in the cage pointing at her, and she's pointing back at him. I love shit like that.
Yeah,
because it's like, hey, like we fucking did this together.
Fucking here, dude.
Because it's like that moment of like he's probably gone through so many moments where it's like fucking hell, this is a grind. Like I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Oh yeah, if you don't think on the route to that.
Yeah,
that he's had those moments of that $5 going on that table to play pool. Of fucking course he has,
and that,
right?
And that's why I felt like you can connect with people like that because like you look at me like this fucking guy's definitely done or been through. There he is. Like I love that stuff, man.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, you
Family
hear stories
guy.
about guys like that, right? That also like, well, I slept in my car for 8 months.
Yeah,
because I'm so passionate about this thing.
Yeah, I love shit like that. Look at that, just like happy family guy.
Fucking Bisbing on there, fucking chiming in.
What's he say? What's important? Yeah, that's true, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Big Mike.
Fucking Bisbing.
Bisbing's clean off. He's nuts, man.
Nah, he's fun. Yeah, man. It's killer, right? Like I love seeing that, and I think it's really easy to always think people are at this like just showed up.
Yeah.
And
or like you're always the
never
finished
case.
product.
Right.
And you didn't have to like go through things to get to where you, I feel
Must
like that.
be nice.
And then the armchair guy's like, oh, fuck this guy. He's useless. And they're the people that are just sitting on their ass wishing like, oh, I wish I fucking was still.
Like, so I've been fucking around a bit with boxing.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at it. Fucking terrible at it. Throwing anything with my left hand feels so stupid. Because all I've ever done is turn to the fucking. I turn to the left and I throw right hands. This I can do. I got a real, probably dangerous overhand right. If you don't see it coming and I hit you, but it's got a fucking hour to wait for it. But anything on
it's
my
coming
left,
all the way down
my
from
left,
Louisiana.
like my left hook, unless like I'm really trying to give a shit about it, is just such this like what does this arm even do?
little cat paw.
Oh god, it's the equivalent of like I feel like I'm a pretty athletic guy naturally. And then ask me to do something with my left hand. Like, write your name with your left hand.
Write
like,
your name.
fuck. Why have you betrayed me? How come the rest of this thing can do so many things and you're fucking useless?
That's weird though, isn't
right.
it?
Can't do shit,
How,
just
like,
fucking like carve it into something.
You can do some serious damage, but then
useless.
I
may as well
write your name with your left
just
hand.
leave it here. Just keep this one as a shield and just throw fucking right hands.
Yeah.
But like realizing how fucking bad I am at it. And getting all this new information and learning from it and trying to get the body mechanics, like, oh man, and it's also just opened up such a different mentality for me of respect to the sport.
Yeah.
To realize how fucking talented really good killers are.
Yeah.
Like the fucking guy Phil's got over there, Bostwick.
Oh, mate, you need to get this guy on.
I'm excited to talk to him. What a
I have
animal.
a good laugh with him, mate. So,
yeah, he seems great.
That's like a perfect example of what we were talking about of, taking a risk, and it's literally like all or nothing, go for it, fuck it. He's got a crazy story. I don't want to tell it for him, but he's
sure,
obviously
I'm sure I'm going to try to sneak him on.
He's a Southeast London boy. The accent.
Grew up tough.
Yeah, grew up tough. Grew up on a
It is
rough
one
estate.
of the better accents that if you've got to land one, like it's a tough fucking accent.
Yeah, man, and I think like he plays it well too.
Oh, of course he does. Like it's all snatch and fucking like that whole
smoking barrels.
Yeah. It's
Lock,
all
stock.
it is. It's that great Cockney.
Yeah,
a lot of slang.
Yeah, and
super fast.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He trains hard, man, and I think he deserves to have found this bare knuckle niche that he's going to slot into, and it fits him well. And I think the people that he's surrounded by now and brushing shoulders with, that he deserved that, because he came out here same as me, didn't really have anyone to. Well, I obviously had my brother, but he had nobody really as a support system.
Yeah, even less.
And was just like, fuck it,
I gotta go.
I'm just gonna do it. And seeing him now, where he's like building his name, building that brand around him being that Londoner and tattoos.
Man, anytime, right? And like I think about like a guy like him and seeing him like pick up a flashy thing here and there, like a chain or something like that,
new
right?
chain
And,
he's got.
That's his fucking money.
Yeah, good.
You know
for
what
you.
I mean? He has earned that money a lot fucking harder than I've decided to earn mine. I've been punched in the face no times to have any of the money I have.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, fuck you. He can spend it however he goddamn wants. And he didn't ask your opinion on how to spend that money.
No, exactly. So when I see him, doing well, and the best part for me is like, he's such a happy guy. He's enjoying it. I feel like he's found a momentum now, and he's like, this is what I wanted to do. So I don't know. I just love when I see people get to that point. You know what I mean?
With the fight training that you were doing, like, were you just essentially bringing in strength and conditioning tactics?
So Phil obviously
because you don't have a fight background.
No, I don't.
So you're not teaching striking or anything?
Oh, no, absolutely not. No. Okay. And that was the thing I was going to say about Phil. Obviously he has a background in fighting. And I think he was a pro in MMA. So it was cool to hear, like I said about Chris McCormack, the way he used to speak to certain teams in FAU. With Phil, that was the thing that I really picked up on, was when I was coaching rugby or strength and conditioning for rugby, I obviously knew the terminology of rugby and I wouldn't really think anything of it.
Sure.
When you go into a different sport, it's like, fuck, like
it's a whole new vocabulary.
And Phil obviously got that. He knew the lingo and spoke to the fighters as a fighter rather than like, hey, like we're gonna do X, Y, and Z in the gym, and this is going to give you this adaptation.
Right.
They don't need to know that. They just be like,
no.
What can I do to rip somebody's
this is
going to
make something cooler. Let's do it.
Yeah, they're like, this is gonna fucking help your right hook, and he would explain that in those terms, and they would get it.
Yeah,
because they don't need the fluff of like, this is the science behind it.
No, dude, that's not your job as a coach. Your job as a coach is to get all that information. You don't have to give it to them. They don't have time to learn all of it.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't have
the time to think about it.
No, that's why they paid
fighting.
you. If they're interested in that part of the information, they can go to school.
Yeah, exactly.
You're the shortcut. That's why they pay coaches instead of the college.
Yeah.
That's how this fucking thing works.
Exactly. So so me and Phil worked together for 2 years. It was a great time. You know, we had a good laugh together, but I learned a lot from him in terms of the MMA world, the lingo, and how to speak to the fighters.
Well, but I would imagine the conditioning for rugby has got to play well. In the fight game, right? Like, because it's big explosive stuff. It's not like you're going on long fucking distance runs.
Yeah, similar stuff. So obviously, you have to have a huge aerobic capacity for both, but
more so for rugby than you would football. Or American football,
yes,
right?
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
At least that's an explode and recover sport.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but in terms of like fighting and rugby, slightly more similar in terms of you need that aerobic base, but then it's interspersed with high intensity, short bursts of action. So
here's a question for you. I don't know if you'd have the answer for, but I guess now that I'm like cycling and monitoring more things and enjoying data from it, like what's like a heart rate stay at like for an average rugby match? Are you staying like in the 160s? Like, are you cranked pretty much, or are you able to like roll around 140 and kind of just
I think so. Okay. Yeah. And then you just have various spikes within. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think like...
So it's always like zone 2, big aerobic capacity, and then some big anaerobic spikes.
Yes. And I think that's where people get the conditioning wrong in rugby, because they take the in play, the amount of time that's the ball's in play for each play, and they say, 40 seconds in play, we're going to run fucking 40 seconds. And that's like counterintuitive, really, because you're just creating a lactic bath and you're not getting any adaptation. You're just sitting around in your own lactate. Whereas what you really need is sharpen both ends of the stick, really. So you want a huge aerobic base and then huge...
Yeah, spend a ton of time on the treadmill at about 135 beats a minute.
Yeah, and then you have this total opposite side of the scale then, where you just want that like 6 second of max intensity. So just like that alactic power, just huge power.
Yeah, you got to have the engine. The engine's got to be able to run at like a 6.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah, because if you...
indefinitely, right?
If you're sitting in the middle all the time, you're not getting the benefit of being totally explosive.
Right.
And then also then you're not being aerobically fit enough to then replenish this ATP, because you're just sitting around in this lactic bath, that people call it.
They're just crushed.
And and it's not only awful, but then the recovery process is terrible. So,
oh man, lactic acid sucks so bad.
So in terms of like programming it throughout the week, do you know Charlie Francis? Mm-hmm. So Charlie Francis's high-low model is great. So in terms of just going high intensity one day, low intensity the next day, and really focusing on the recovery aspect. So if you're going to do a lot of high intensity alactic stuff, let's make sure then the next day or the day that's before that is very low intensity, more so aerobic stuff, rather than just being like, hey, 40 seconds on, 30 seconds off, guys.
Dude, I think it would be really valuable for you, man. Like, even if you were to put together just, an online program that you could sell of like conditioning from rugby for athletes.
Yeah. Well,
like for any sport, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Like, because, I mean, like, it fucking adds up to everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And personally, I feel like from a strength and conditioning standpoint, I'm personally not that obsessed with strength, because there's going to be a point, it's fairly easy to get people strong, but then at what point do you say, hey, like,
we don't need any more.
You don't really need any more.
Right. You're having a 900-pound deadlift as a fucking defensive lineman, like in the NFL, right? Like it's cool as long as you can do all the other things really well. Yeah. Like if you dropped any fucking points on aerobic capacity or dropped any points on explosive power, which, your max deadlift is not an explosive lift.
No.
It's a fucking grind, which doesn't translate to athletics at all.
No,
it doesn't fucking translate.
The vast majority of what you're doing in the weight room is general anyway.
Dude,
it's not specific.
Fuck. If you're an athlete who doesn't compete in a sport that measures your total, we don't really need to know your maxes other than it's a point of how do we make progress.
Yeah, it's a point of reference to see how well you're doing.
Yeah, but it's just fucking not important.
Yeah, but again, for me, it's like, do I want to force out, like really squeeze all that like toothpaste out of the
for the strength side.
Yeah, just for my ego to say, oh, look at these.
We're the strongest team ever.
Yeah,
meanwhile they're fucking gassed in the third.
And that's the thing that gets to me a little bit, because you may have a strength coach that's like, we're the fucking strongest team in the league. I'm like, okay, great, but are we winning any fucking games?
Goddamn right.
Because
goddamn right. Like, you can't have.
At the end of the day, the reason we're doing our job is to make sure we win fucking games. Dude,
I said that for years with the Highland Games, because like all of my training was always focused sub-maximal. And I said it for, tell people that like, if I don't compete in a totaled sport. Yeah. So everything I'm doing in the weight room is GPP.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is it for specific players? So is it for fighters? So is it for fucking rugby? Anything you're doing with a barbell in your hands is GPP.
Yeah.
Because you don't compete in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so like, if it's not benefiting where we want the boat to go.
Yes, exactly.
Why are we fucking doing this?
Yeah.
Because sometimes like having a max strength cycle is just fucking taking a solid right turn instead of the boat going the direction we want.
Yeah.
Also, injury risk fucking goes up a ton.
Yeah.
For athletes, like, you only get to dip into the red and like tap that line of too much a few fucking times. Like it'll bite back. That's how it works.
Yeah.
That's how adaptation happens.
Yeah. And especially in team sports, it's like very relentless. So if you're just going to push that line each time, each week, something's going to break. And
dude, but you see coaches do that. You see coaches will run their camps and stuff like that for sports. And it ends up being this, deselection of athletes more so than it is a selection process.
Yeah.
And so it ends up just like, well, these guys survived.
Yeah.
That's not proving anything. Granted, because they survived, they're resilient fucks and they can probably handle some other shit, but that's not because of you.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And at that point, actually, I had a conversation with a couple of coaches, and that is actually a huge, like, I don't think it's looked in enough at like the resilience of an athlete. Because when you look at players that always say, I was never really the most gifted player. I just worked harder than all the rest of the people. That doesn't mean that they were like doing something different or they were truly working harder. It's just the workload, they were able to sustain it for a longer period of time.
For sure.
And I feel like that's like huge especially like in CrossFit, that these guys, yes, they're strong. Yes, they're incredibly fit. But the best of the best are just the guys that were able to withstand that
amount, a war of attrition,
that amount of intensity and volume, and just not fucking break.
Right, and like that's what's crazy too. So my brother and I had to talk about this 2 weeks ago when I was in Houston hanging out with him, and it was like, what do you think? Like, is it bad luck? Is it bad training? Is it genetically that like why is your machine so much more robust than mine? Because like, I found my thing and I got to push toward it and I got to be the best in the world at a thing. I'm very proud of what my machine did, but my machine gave up the ghost. Yeah. Like it fucking broke. I found being in the red too long, right? Like that, whatever it is, the knee went to shit. And there's a lot of reasons, but that's the story.
Yeah.
But why did he get to pursue Highland Games, get to pursue weightlifting, get to play in the NFL for a few years and all these years of football? And like, he's never really had an injury.
Yeah.
And I mean, he didn't quit playing any of those sports because injury came up. He just quit. Like, it was just the time was done. It quit being fun. How
well did he do in Highland Games?
He was a pro.
Yeah.
I mean, competed at national championships every year. Like he was a top 10 guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Wasn't winning world championships, but he was always in the top 10.
Yeah.
So,
but it's like, would you say that was the price that you had to pay to become the world champion?
It was the price I had to pay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I was signing up to pay that price when I fucking entered the arena. But at the end of the day,
you won
2.
Yeah. I thought
2 world championships. And
was it back to back or?
No, 12 and 14.
Okay.
And then I've never, in the other 2000, 2011 was my first year as a pro, through 2016 when I retired. The end of that one, like I'd never finished not on the podium at a game.
Okay.
So I've always been top 3.
Yeah.
Most of the time in the top 2. All my other worlds were seconds.
What's the guys that you were against that were in that top 3? What happened to those guys?
Dan McKim was really my arch nemesis.
Right.
Like he was the guy that I'd swapped worlds with. He and I, whenever we were both throwing well, were pretty leaps and bounds ahead of number 3.
Right. Okay.
And so like, it was always between us, and he was better than I was. Like he won 5 worlds to my 2.
Okay.
And like, he's just so solid. He was so tough to beat because he's good all fucking day.
Yeah.
And with 9 events, that's how it goes. And so for me, beating Dan, because the events that I was better than Dan at, I was much better than Dan at. So like stones and then the weights for a period of time.
Yeah.
But then the events that Dan was better than me at, he was way fucking better than I was. So like in the hammers,
Right.
he'd kill me. He's also world champion. No, he's a world record holder in both the hammers and like,
Oh, right. Okay.
I'm not good at them. And so like my whole goal was never to beat Dan in the hammers. It's just, I needed to beat everyone else.
Yeah.
I need to come in second.
Yeah.
And not lose any points. Right. And so that became the strategy and plan. And so like I would lose some distance on the events that I was better than Dan at. And then depending on where we would compete. So on the international games, like at the world level, when we have the Polish boys and the Scottish guys and the English all come in, they all throw hammers well.
Right. Okay.
And so they benefit Dan because none of them are as good as Dan, but they're better than me.
Yeah.
And so now like I'm taking a fucking 5th in the hammers and I'm fucking losing a ton of points.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the stones, I'm winning by 6 feet, but Dan's second. So he's better than everyone else.
Yeah.
And so like I can't fucking get any ground on him. And so like a perfect example of this was like Worlds in France. We threw at this castle in Brescia. It's fucking really, really
That's
cool.
cool.
One of the cooler experiences. The Highland Games has had some really rad experience. So throwing like on this courtyard of this 11th century castle in France, and like the crowd is on this like levee up and around us, and like
Wow.
we're kind of in it.
Yeah. Like Coliseum style.
Really fucking cool. The problem was like it was pissing rain all day. It was awful. Just raining its ass off and cold. Just shitty French people everywhere. They're not great, you know. And so, fucking frogs. And so,
I'm not going to say anything.
I'm glad that stereotypes kind of just exist.
fucking French. Say what you want about them. They'll hand their country over every 70 or so years to whoever shows up. Whatever. I don't think I have a French audience. I shouldn't anyway.
Not anymore anyway.
right. Fine. Sorry, boys. Au revoir. But so like, you know, the first event of that game is open stone, and I end up taking like second in it. Either second or I won, and then Dan took like 7th. Like he fucking took a bath opening event. And then for the rest of the contest, I just leaked fucking points to him.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and he beat me by the end of it.
Was that the one that you posted about?
It's
like
one of the ones
caber?
they showcase on the cool documentary, The Heavies, that's on Amazon that I'm part of.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you watch that, you can watch me take 3rd at 3 Worlds. Watch me fucking get beat 3 fucking years in a row. God damn it. Would have been a cooler story had I had won any of those, you know what I mean? But like, fuck. But yeah, and like Dan's a fucking monster of a human. I mean, he's 6'5", you know,
Wow.
well over when we were competing 310, 320.
Shit. It's a big guy.
Big fucking boy. And a talented athlete. Could just has it. And so he works for Sornex now.
Okay.
And has been for a long time. So he's one of their sales guys.
Right.
And just
did he no injuries though, or?
Yo, I don't think so.
Because that's
I
like
think
what
he
we were
just
saying
finally retired too. Like he just was done. Like
Yeah.
it was time to do the next thing.
Because that's like interesting, right? Because he's
Right.
obviously gone as hard as you were in the training, but
Right.
just
Yeah, he just
Didn't
didn't
break.
have to live in the red as long as I
Yeah.
did for whatever reason.
And I
Or
think-
bad luck too. Like it just
Yeah.
fucking happens.
and that's the that's like what we was talking about was like that aspect of it. I think, like the glorification of I can fucking like the grind. I can hammer home, keep going. I'm doing high intensity. I'm doing high volume. I can keep this up. And then when somebody that does that is successful, I think it gives like a wrong message to young,
totally
especially young athletes, because they think like
that's the way.
#grind, and I'm just going to train like a fucking lunatic all day, every day, and like it's not. Like
I used to did powerlifting with Gary Frank. Gary Frank at the time was like the first dude to break. This was when I was training like with suits and all the bench shirts and everything like that, right? So like this is in Louisiana, and Gary is the first guy to break the 2,500, 2,600, 2,700, 28, and 2,900 pound totals, and did them like way in fucking front of everyone. Gary's was a national champion shot putter for like Mississippi State, and then played professional football, then played Canadian football for a number of years. Like Gary's 6'4", and at this point, like almost 400 pounds, like big power lifter, has pulled 931. He's incredible. And so Gary's training that we all did was 52 weeks of heavy max singles, like with no real accessory work. And because it worked for Gary.
Because it worked for him, yeah.
Right. And so the problem with that is Gary never realized Gary's a freak.
And that's what that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. That like, yo, you can't set the rule off of this mutant.
Yeah.
That's an expectation, because the truth is, despite his shitty training, he's really successful.
Yeah. And it works for him.
Right. And because anything would have fucking worked for Gary.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. That like he's such a talented athlete that like as long as we're in doing something that creates adaptation, he can figure it out on game day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas the rest of us, I gotta be fucking smarter. Like, dude, I need the sauna. I need fucking ice baths. It takes a lot of goddamn work to keep this machine trying to operate at a high level. I'm not that dude who can just like fucking spray water on a car and put it in the garage and hope it runs the next day. That thing's not starting for shit. And so like, you know, it's that, or like I'll tell people that like, you know, look, I don't know enough about the guy to have this an opinion, but just as an outsider looking in, like Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want Usain Bolt as my sprint coach, because I believe he's just such a gifted guy.
Yeah, that
like,
does make sense.
You know what I mean? That he's just like, well, you move your fucking legs faster and you set world records. That's what I do.
Yeah.
and I'm not saying he hasn't worked hard. Of course he has. Yeah. But he's also got something else.
Yeah, he's a freak.
You're an outlier.
Yeah.
And so like, you don't get to make the rules, man. Like we don't get to train like you. That's not how this works.
Yeah, and I think like as well, that's the thing that muddies the waters in terms of like an athlete coaching, because their perception of what works as such, like you just said, like if that worked for them, they would think, okay, that's probably like the way it's supposed to be, but you just didn't break, and somebody else can't train like that.
No.
So it's just understanding where people's breaking points are really, and just...
And good coaches figure it out per athlete.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's going to be different.
You know, that like, I mean, like I don't have any problem at this point. Like the guy that I'm doing some boxing with, I have no problem being him like, yo, this isn't going to work today. Like I know this machine well enough that like I'm not going to be gulled into pushing this red line for me that like costs me 2 weeks of life. Like I'm just fucking beat to shit for 2 weeks. Like I can't afford it. I'll come back tomorrow.
Just being like demotivated by a fucking bag.
Yeah. No, man. I think that's fucking big time. That like as a coach that you grasp that idea that the outliers aren't the rule setter.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think as well, like that definitely goes with my brother too, because I've obviously been around a lot of bodybuilding training, and the way he trains, he does train smart, but I have seen the intensity that he can sustain for a long period of time, and it's unlike a lot of what I've seen elsewhere. And again, it's like, how far can you push your machine? And for what he can, it's not plausible for somebody else, because they're not quite there yet.
Yeah, and you may have to figure out another path.
Yeah.
You're not saying that you can't get it done, but there may be a different route that you got to figure out how to get
roads,
there.
Many roads lead to Rome, as they say. So it's like you can get the same adaptation without just putting your foot all the way down to the gas pedal and keeping it down.
Yeah. So you're currently coaching at Penn State.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have a buddy up there.
Yeah.
Lucas.
He's a great guy. So when we get back, supposed to meet up with him. He's a great guy.
Great guy.
Yeah.
I officiated his wedding. Like, yeah, he's
awesome.
He's good people, man. He's someone that I've known. Give you an idea of the history. I hosted him for an official visit when I was in college at LSU, because we were recruiting him.
Oh, okay.
And so like at that age, we hosted him for a visit, and he stayed with me as like I'm fucking 20.
Yeah.
Right.
How
Like,
old
so
is what's
Lucas
the
is my age. He's a little older than me.
Okay.
So I think he's like 38, 39-ish.
All right.
And so he was transferring from a junior college in California. Not Morehouse. Holy fuck. I can't believe I just
Call him
Moore
up.
Park.
Okay.
Got it. His dad's a legendary track coach.
Okay.
Within that universe. Bob McKay is a fucking brilliant guy with the throws.
Yeah.
And so Luke's just a wildly talented athlete. Through Georgia, was a national champion in the hammer. Through a couple Olympic trials. Oh, he's a stud.
Mm-hmm.
He's also
would
a dude
never
he's
say-
also a dude that can he could go out there right now and throw pretty decent. He just has it.
He's just one of them
And, like,
freaks again.
Another one of those dudes, like he's a big boy too.
He's huge.
Yeah, and then like if you watch him, like dude, the way he moves, like he's always on balance. Like I've always described Luke as one of those dudes that moves and like kind of floats.
Yeah.
And
So-
like you see that in a couple athletes, and you're like, "Fuck,
Yeah.
that guy's probably dangerous."
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Because the way we met him, you told me about him, and we exchanged. You give me his number, and I'd messaged him, and then me and Maddie took the dog to the dog park in State College, and we're like, "Fucking hell, the size of this fucking guy right here," with this huge like, I don't know what the name of the hat is.
Okay.
Like the sun hat.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
And sunglasses. Very casual. Like, fuck, this guy's huge. Just like exactly.
Yeah, because
like,
Luke's like 6'6", 6'7".
yeah, and exactly like you said, just like the way he was moving, he's like, this guy is fucking.
He's an athlete.
Yeah,
too.
he's definitely an athlete. He's not just a tall, big guy.
No.
So we get in there, and he's got a hate shirt on.
Fuck.
And we were like, fuck, who is this fucking guy?
Who's this guy?
And it was like that realization of where we were like, Luke.
And both of you were looking like fucking weird.
And we were like all laughing, and everyone else in the dog park's like, what the fuck is going on?
Nah,
It's like
whatever.
the secret meeting just happening right now.
It's perfect. Perfect, man. So how's been coaching? Like, is this your first like role in the Division One?
I worked with FAU, and then this
Was FAU like they're not
Yeah.
like big school like Penn State?
No,
though.
not like
Okay.
not like Penn State. So yeah, this would be my first role in a school that was at this level.
Right.
It is awesome.
Just different tools and different resources, and but
Yeah.
things have been closed. So
Yeah.
what a fucking weird life.
So yeah, it's very strange right now. But initially, when I got the job, it was just insane. I'd never seen any facilities like that.
they have a
Like,
big Sornex weight room.
yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
And they have that indoor arena, which is
So nice.
it's fucking crazy. Because back home, the national indoor facility for the rugby team is probably like half the size of that. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. We're going to the indoor facility. I thought I was expecting something the same as what
There's
I've used
so much
back
money
home.
in the NCAA.
It's insane.
and not only is there so much money in the NCAA, like it's become such an arms race for schools to like
Yeah.
advertise to get athletes to come.
Yeah, and they just use it as leverage to be like, "Hey, look, well, you can
go to this
you can
fucking
use."
place.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's hard. That was a little bit difficult for me at the beginning because, not that they take it for granted, but like you have these players that come in and they have access to these facilities every single day, and
they
you
don't
have to
use them.
take your emotion out of it because you want to just be like, you don't understand how
You don't know how fucking good it
you
is.
don't understand how fucking lucky you are because where I went to college, we just had a fucking grass field and one squat rack.
Right.
And we were a very successful rugby college, and we had nothing.
How badly could you guys beat the shit out of the Penn State team?
My college
Yeah,
team,
yeah.
we would fucking annihilate them. It would be like treble figures to 0, and I have no qualms about that.
Give them the business.
We had a very, very successful team. We were British champions 2 years in a row, which was awesome. But
I want to
like,
say I'm proud that I haven't had you on here and asked you the rules of rugby. I figure I can Google if I fucking
yeah,
want
you're
to.
good, mate. I could tell you one rule, and then there's like 6 rules amongst that rule. Explaining to Marty during games is great.
Okay.
Hit pause, and I'm like, okay, this person is trying to do this. He's trying to do that, but that's technically illegal.
Does she get it or she gloss over and just go
she's
like,
good. She knows.
I would just gloss over and be like, it sounds great, man.
She's either really good at knows,
Striker,
or
you
she's
say?
yeah, or she's really good at pretending she knows. Because
both are a skill.
I'm like, oh, look at this, and she's like, yeah, great. I'm like, yeah, she fucking knows.
Both are a skill. There's also a skill in not letting people
maybe she
know how
doesn't
little
know.
you know.
Yeah,
Right? Like, just be
I think
quiet.
she's nailed the fact that she's just going to pretend.
I love it. She's learned rugby phonetically. Like she doesn't understand the sport. She just says like the names of things.
She knows like 5 keywords.
Good scrum, eh?
Yeah. She's like, oh, look, scrum. And I'm like, fuck yeah, she knows this stuff.
She knows. She'll be coaching in no time.
No, in fairness to her, she does get it. She does. But
yeah, for sure.
But it's such a very interesting, intricate game where there's literally
there's so much going on.
5 rules on top of 1 rule. And there's a lot going on. And every tackle, it's not like football where you're just like, okay, let's break up and we start again. It's literally,
some do that.
You do a tackle. So the guy that's making the tackle has to let go of the person he's tackled. The person that's been tackled has a chance to place the ball back to his teammates, but then has to let go of the ball. So for argument's sake, if you tackle me and you don't let go of me, that's going to be a penalty to my team. If you tackle me and I don't let go of the ball, that's going to be a penalty to your team. So already, just from us two alone, this is fucking craziness.
Right.
Then your teammates and my teammates just fucking smash each other to try and win the ball. So your teammates are trying to steal the ball. My teammates are trying to protect the ball. And there's like an imaginary gate. So you can't come in from any angle. You have to come in at a certain angle. So it's like an imaginary gate.
Okay.
Yeah. Trying to explain it's crazy, but like it does make sense to me. But like when I'm telling people that have no experience rugby, they're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
So like, what's top level rugby in the US right now?
It's called the MLR.
Okay.
So Major League Rugby.
And it's 7s or 5s, or is it?
No, it's full 15 aside.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so many fucking people.
15 players on each team. There's not a lot of space at times.
So how many people are on a team? Like how many? Like on your dress roster? Like how much are you rotating people in and out of that 15?
You probably usually have the same like 20 to 25 people that rotate in and out.
So like you don't have 2 full teams.
It depends.
Like you
really.
don't have 30 dudes
in
out
Penn
there.
State. We have like 2 teams worth of
oh
play.
Shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes practice nice.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, because we can go live and we can go
when
for
you're allowed.
Yeah, when we're allowed. Obviously, we can't. We haven't been able to do anything since February.
Do you have games coming or like
nothing at the moment?
Dude, what a weird thing. Imagine that being in college, right? Like that, like you miss your senior year of athletics.
I feel so bad.
Like why would I go train?
I know.
I'd be so fucking
It is
bummed.
difficult because obviously we had a lot of very good momentum going into this season. We had an awesome preseason.
In 20.
Yeah. So like this time last year, well, maybe like January time, early January, we had a very good preseason. We were going into February, March thinking like we're going to do our season and we're going to have a good crack at it. We felt like physically we were in a really good place. The other coach that coached with me, Justin Huntley, is very, very good coach. And I felt like we had a good team, good like strategy and tactics, and physically we were there. And then it just came to like this crashing halt. And it's just been difficult because obviously we had to coach them remotely. I think like any coach that's going through this right now feels the same way because my first instinct was to kick in and be like, right, I'm going to like overthink things.
Yeah, sure.
And panic and think of every single variable and try and put something in place that's like going to cover that variable. So for argument's sake, like all your body weight exercises.
Right.
Because
how do we have guys trained at home?
Yeah. So how can I train these guys at home? What can they do? Obviously, not everyone has the same equipment at home. Some people live in the city. Some people live out in the countryside.
Right, and the gyms are closed.
Yeah, so like if I was saying like, okay, we're going to do X amount of sprints today, some people had a field or a big backyard to run in. And another guy's like, hey, is it okay if I fucking run through the street in the middle of Philadelphia? So I'm like, fuck, like how do we how do we get around this, you know? So programming for that was very difficult. And in fairness, they stuck to the program, but the longer it goes on, and you can't blame them, it's difficult then to keep people engaged in a program that's online. And especially like what you just said is if there's no like light at the end of the tunnel for them to be like, well, I can't really see when we're going to play, so it's hard for me to be motivated to train. You can't really be that mad at them because as long as they're giving something to stay engaged, that's the positive thing. I mean, it's fairly easy to get them back into good conditioning. But for me as a coach, it was like when they come back, it's going to be very difficult to manage the injury risk, because a lot of them
we don't know. You have to start slow.
Because we don't know
what they've been doing.
We don't know exactly what some of them have been doing. Some of them we can guarantee to the T they've done every single thing.
Well, the athletes you count on will.
Yeah, and then there's some then that potentially won't have done anything. Yeah,
there are definitely athletes that have just the ability to make it to that Division I level and play sports.
Yeah,
but they don't have the thing.
Yeah, but
the obsession.
It was like the Gronkowski thing though that we were talking about earlier.
Right, he's just got it.
Yeah, I mean at that level, you can't really be angry at him for
just being like, well, I didn't feel like doing sprints in the off season.
And he's like, all right, it's your last year, I suppose, and you are Gronkowski, so I suppose this is okay.
Yeah, for those who don't know, I guess like Gronkowski for, training camp or whatever, has to check in and show that he's doing X amount of sprints and that like they're in a certain amount of time and things like that to show conditioning to your coach. And so he essentially just shot 10 sprint videos one day with different shirts and fucking turned it in. Like, fucking what a hero.
The way he says it, there's a video of him saying it. He's like, I tricked them, man.
He's so proud of himself. I love it.
I tricked them, man. I tricked them.
Because, like, dude, you're king of the world. Like, who's fucking telling Rob Gronkowski that he did something?
As the coach, you're like, boiling over, thinking like...
At some point, but also like...
But then you're like, okay, I suppose this is quite funny.
We win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, you're like, win the fucking Super Bowl.
It wasn't those lack of sprints that changed anything.
Yeah.
He's probably okay.
Yeah, he'd be okay.
So... Has any of this kind of like realization with what the world has switched up in the last fucking 14 or 15 months? Like, now are you looking to do more coaching online?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Try to, put your knowledge out there for more people to be looking for it to be able to have a place.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we were talking about yesterday, and before we jumped on this, my perception of social media, obviously. Living back home was just being like, oh, just use this as like all my friends do, just like post up random crap or whatever. And then the other perception was of how people would interact with my brother, and I was like, okay, he's at that level, and that's why he's.
There's a big gap between
A and B. Like, so like he's at that level, and I understand why he's posting for this because he's at that level. And in my head, I'm like, I'm not anywhere near that, so. I don't know if I have the right to be posting like that. Okay. And then it's like I mean, everyone knows this, like you scroll through and you're like, how the fuck is this person posting videos about stuff they don't know?
Right.
Where I know. Give up my fucking life to study that subject and I'm not posting about it. And like you just said, this was a huge realization for me to be like, I don't want to be the person where I'm totally relying on the team or the school to pay or anybody. Yeah.
Dude, like one road of revenue is no longer the way to fucking go with your life.
Absolutely not. And I started posting, like trickling in as like almost as an experiment to see if people would enjoy what I have. So I posted like a couple of things out and I got like really fairly decent interaction. And I thought this was really cool because I was connecting with coaches who I'd never spoken to before.
No, it's so fucking cool that
it is cool.
That tool is such an amazing tool for reach. Like, I don't know you without that tool.
Yeah.
Right? Like everyone I'm fucking friends with now has come from that.
Yeah, exactly.
I have one friend I grew up with, fucking Dant, and like that's it. Yeah, Dant, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. So it from just the connection aspect alone, I thought that was insane because for me, I was like looking at other coaches. Even when I was living in Wales, I was like, oh, this guy's doing some really awesome work. I'd love to have a conversation. And when you don't post that kind of stuff, it's hard to be like, oh, I'm just going to reach out to them and hopefully like ask coaching questions or just like shoot the shit or whatever. But it's like, it's almost as if it gives you like the gateway opens. If you start posting that kind of stuff,
yeah, people want to talk about it.
It's like, oh, that's fucking cool. And then you have those interactions and it's like, wow, this is actually really cool. And that's the thing that I actually liked.
Yeah.
I'm like a people person. I like to connect and like share ideas and things like that. And I feel like just being a little bit more consistent with Instagram and social media it's definitely opened doors to just speak to people about things and share ideas, rather than.
It's weird to say, but that's part of your resume now.
Yeah, no,
for sure.
It
Like
is.
if a school's looking to hire you, they're gonna look.
Yeah, well,
and so it's not gonna hurt if it looks like all your content is rugby focused.
Yeah,
and it's good information.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's a better resume than you fucking actually handing a sheet of paper over that says you studied at fucking school in Florida. You know what I mean? Like, and so if you treat it that way, it's really valuable. But if you're like, please don't look at the fact that, I called my dog a motherfucker, for 20 minutes the other day on a story post or something like that, right?
Yeah. But that, going off that, I was actually approached to take a MLR job in LA, and a lot of it was like we were talking about. I've seen your social media posts. It's
dude.
And that's when it was like kind of dawning on me. It's like, well, fucking hell, like,
and like you just started. And, the thing
honestly,
is, like,
I've
this
just
isn't,
like
this
done
isn't
like
the last opportunity that's going to cross your fucking path.
Yeah,
that's not how it works.
And that was like basically after like a month of trying to be fairly consistent with posting.
Well, dude, we're coming in almost 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
So I feel like I have another 2 in me.
Where can people? Well, I'll fly you back out, Luke. I love chatting.
Yeah, man. This has been awesome.
Where can people find all your stuff?
So Instagram, LukeyLou2. But I think when we spoke,
we're gonna try.
We might try and like mix,
if we
mix
change it between now and then, we will put the new one.
Yeah. So maybe when I come on next time, I'll have a different one. But right now it's Lukey
King
Lou.
of Rugby, Luke Lewis. Rugby King. Scrum Lord.
Scrum Lord.
Scrum Lord's a fucking great name. That should be your fucking, like a pro. You should definitely sell like an explosive training program called Scrum Lord.
Scrum and get it.
Scrum and get it. Oh, no. Oh, no. Well, we'll end on that. I'm not proud. Well, dude, thank you so fucking much.
No,
now
man,
we're
thanks for
gonna
having
photo
me,
shoot all day and hang out with our friends.
Yeah. Good times, man.
Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you again next week. Bye.